Mongolian beef has to be one of the most popular dishes at Chinese restaurants in Australia, United States, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, you name it. It's just so delicious. Now, normally it's a stir-fried dish, and that's my preferred way to eat it. But today I'm going to be showing you how I make my slow cooker version. It's pretty much a dump and go recipe. It is absolutely awesome. So stick around and please check this out and learn how you can make my version right now. G'day everybody, it's Daz here from my Aussie Gardening Kitchen. And if it's your first time here, I'm a long retired chef, and on my channel I do cooking videos and gardening videos. I try and break it down for beginners, so if that's something you think you're interested in, please feel free to subscribe and tick the bell and all that sort of stuff, and stick around and watch all my videos. Thanks. Alright, so let's get started, and the first tip I want to give you is that when doing beef in a stir fry and even in a slow cooking process like this, please try to cut it against the grain. Now, if you look closely at the beef, you'll actually see the grain and you'll understand which direction that goes. So, for instance, if my finger is the grain go in this direction, you're going to slice down against it in this direction. Now, by doing that, what you're doing is you're cutting against all the fibers and you're making it nice and loose. So when it cooks, either fast in a stir fry or slow in a slow cooker, it's going to be nice and tender, and it's such a better eating experience. Once the beef is all sliced against the grain and ready to go, I like to marinate mine for an hour. Now, you don't have to do this because it's going to be a slow cooking process, but it's something that I prefer to do, and I prefer the taste of it in this way. So it's your choice whether you marinate it beforehand or dump it all in and go like I'll show you in a second. With my marinade, it's just a blend of a light soy sauce and Chinese cooking wine. Chinese cooking wine, I really do recommend it. It's fantastic in Chinese cooking, especially with beef. You can easily find it in supermarkets, and it's not that hard to find really. If you don't want to use a Chinese cooking wine or you can't find it, you could replace it with something like a sherry. And if you don't want the alcohol content in your meal at all, feel free to use something like a beef stock, a beef bouillon, and replace the flavour that way. I also add garlic and ginger, and I have some cornflour in there, or cornstarch as people say overseas. And there's a secret ingredient, and that is baking soda. Now, the baking soda is a really cool thing to do with beef in stir fries and even here in the slow cooker. And what that's going to do is the baking soda is going to react with the beef and help soften it. And that's called velveting, and that's going to get in there and help break down the fibers a little bit and make it nice and smooth, and that delicious Chinese takeaway dish that you'll get in restaurants. Not too much though. By adding too much, you will get a very unpleasant flavour, so please try and stick to recipes and recommended tips. Once I've got all those ingredients in the container like that, I pop it into the fridge for an hour and just let it sit and do its own thing. If you'd like to save a bit of time and not do the marinating beforehand, that's fine. Just pop all the ingredients straight into the cooker like I showed you with my marinated version. It's going to be very similar, so just pop it all in and away you go. Wow, I made a big mistake. I'm so sorry. The carrots need to be sliced into slices on an angle like this. They're going to hold their shape and they look nice when they're cut on the angle like this. I do apologise. I make Mongolian beef probably 95% of the time as a stir fry. So that's why I cut them into battens, as you can see here. Don't do that because they're going to break down over the long cooking time. And I obviously realised this when later on I'm eating it, and so yes, cut the carrots into slices and they will hold their shape. Very important. So I pop those carrots in, onions go in next. To this I add some water, just a cup of water. I've got brown sugar going in next, and that's really going to give a nice sweetness to the dish. And I like to give that a stir and just mix it around to help dissolve that sugar, and just get that sugar dissolved before it actually starts the cooking process. It's no big deal if you don't get it all dissolved, so don't sit there stirring frantically trying to break it up. But if you can, I do recommend to try and get that sugar dissolved as much as you can at this point by just giving it that good stir, and you'll see it all break down nicely. So in comes the marinated beef, and we just pour that in and get that all going, mixing it around. And I'm just mixing all the ingredients just so they can all evenly get coated in all the different ingredients and flavors that are in there. And also, so hopefully I'm not having lumps and chunks of beef that are maybe stuck in one little spot and they might not cook evenly. So just give it a bit of a mix and incorporate everything together nicely. I almost forgot the ground white pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon in this case. Now for us, we prefer cracked black pepper, so I'm actually using that. So you can decide whether you go for the white pepper that's ground or the cracked black pepper yourselves. I like to push the ingredients down and flatten them out just so they can all be either under the surface of the liquid or still touching the liquid and absorbing those beautiful flavors as they develop over the cooking time. On goes the lid. That's going to develop some beautiful flavors. That meat's going to go nice and tender. And then with about half an hour to go, we're going to come back, well, I'm going to come back and do a couple of things which will be thickening slightly to taste and personal preference. And I'm going to get some spring onions, or green onions as other people call them, and we'll be popping those in just a bit before the end because I don't want them in now and having them just going, oh yuck. Pop them in where they're a bit more fresher at the end. So here we are 4 hours later and it looks fantastic, and oh boy, it smells great. And the spring onions, I've cut them on an angle so they look nice, and they go in at the end just so they can slightly cook, keep their color, and just add a little bit of freshness to the dish. So I'm going to get a bit of cornstarch, cornflour as we say here, mix it up with a bit of water and add that, and just get it to thicken up slightly. We like our sauce a little bit thick here. We like to eat ours with rice, so it's most commonly eaten with rice anyway. So we want a bit of sauce with ours, and we don't want it too thick, don't want it too thin. You adjust it to your personal preference. Now it's time to dish it up, and oh my, it is so good. I just love this dish, and I love this slow cooked version. The stir-fried version still wins for me, but hey, I will never ever knock this one back. Grab a little frying pan, put it on the heat and get it really hot. Pour in your sesame seeds from a packet. No oil, butter, nothing, just the seeds by themselves. And just shake them around and let them get the heat from the surface of the pan, and you'll toast the sesame seeds quite nicely. And just give them a light toss, a little bit of a stir. They'll start to brown up on you. And then when you think you're about, say, 3/4 of the way of that browning, turn off the heat and just keep on giving them a toss, because they're going to keep on browning under that heat of, or on top of that heat of the pan. Probably don't leave them in a frying pan or in that pan, because that pan is going to have a lot of residual heat and it quite possibly will burn your sesame seeds. So yeah, just pour them out onto a plate and you'll be fine. Then when it comes to presentation, you can sprinkle them on, and I'm guaranteeing you that you'll notice the difference between toasted sesame seeds and plain sesame seeds in a packet that aren't toasted at all. You can see here, it's cooked beautifully. Oh, look at that. With the sesame on top, the toasted sesame, a bit of sauce in there. I'll mix it in. Oh, you can feel how tender it is. And by doing that marinating that I talked about at the start with the baking soda, you can see just how soft and slippery it makes it with that and the corn flour or cornstarch. Here goes. That beef is just so soft, tender, smooth. It's got that slight slippery, sheeny feel to it from the way it was prepared. Oh wow, this is absolutely incredible. You must try this, guys. It is fantastic. Bit of carrot, rice, spring onion there, and the sauce, of course. An absolute winner. And of course, for all of you who watch my videos, I have to give it a great big Daz approves. I really hope you have a go at making this yourself. It's absolutely delicious. Please let me know in the comments if you do make it. And if you wouldn't mind, if you could check out this video next, I really appreciate it. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time in one of my videos. Bye for now.